Joining me today to discuss cybersecurity is David Hatchell, Vice President of Industrial Security at ProtectWise. Welcome, David.
Thank you. Glad to be here, Sid.
Industrial cybersecurity, as you know, I cover that space, and there's a lot of different technologies, lots of solutions. So just to frame our discussion today, can you kind of give a frame where ProtectWise fits in that, how you're unique and different and things like that?
Sure. ProtectWise, we're taking a very modern approach to cybersecurity in that we're a cloud-based utility model for cybersecurity, which is a little bit different than we see in this industrial cybersecurity paradigm that we've been looking at for the past few years. So some of the problems that we've kind of seen, in the industrial cybersecurity journey that we've all kind of faced, certainly from the threat landscape that we've seen. We've seen, the attacks as we've seen in Ukraine and this recent Triton and Trisis attack. If we look at the traditional cybersecurity kill chain model that was developed by Lockheed Martin and that SANS ICS is kind of publicized as their instantiation of the ICS version of it, these attacks have propagated for a long period of time, right? So from the time the attacker is able to penetrate the IT organization, establish some command and control, and then penetrate into the OT side of the house to understand what controllers, what protocols are looking at to execute that phase of the attack. So from a problem standpoint, it's taking these attackers a lot longer than we see in the IT side. And so that deserves a little bit of a different approach in how we kind of monitor for that. Secondly, so we see from the end user side, right? They're struggling to kind of adopt some form of security controls in their plant. The traditional technologies of endpoint, patch, AV, firewalls have all kind of been deployed or in the process of deployment. Now as they look to security monitoring, they're looking for scalable solutions of how they kind of monitor not just one or two plants to kind of generate that there's some interest in doing this. They want to look at how they scale rapidly to all these different environments. So also from the automation manufacturer standpoint is the increased digitization of services occur that they're providing from condition monitoring, predictive maintenance. They're also trying to look to introduce security in this same facet as they introduce these services. So to be able to kind of take the whole perimeter security that we built up and approach around ICS security and then introduce security in that service also becomes increasingly important. So we kind of feel that all these have kind of led us to a really good approach in what we're taking in ProtectWise and security. So what we do at ProtectWise, we're a cloud-based product. We operate on a cloud environment. We have very lightweight software sensors and hardware sensors, which we kind of deploy in industrial environments. And so what those sensors do is they gather full packet data, right? So consider it like a network DVR, right? It's sucking up all the different packet data that's in there. It's streaming it to the cloud. And from that, we run a series of detections across that. That's any of the buzzwords we've seen from behavior-based learning to anomaly detection to machine-based learning. The customer can bring their own intelligence. They can use intelligence already that's there from the endpoints to the firewalls. But the core principle of it, since recording the full packet traffic, is the end user has the ability to record 6 months or even 12 months of traffic. It gives the ability to look at that data set over a long period of time, to then kind of determine, as we've seen these ICS attacks that are propagated over long periods of time, how they might have been breached 6 months ago or even 12 months ago. And think of this like the Olympic doping, right? In that you store a set of samples for a long time and continue to test against potential indicators of that 6 months, 1 year, 5 years later to essentially convict that sample. So it's a similar approach that we're trying to take in security. And so we've taken a very lightweight approach to this. It's a cloud-based approach that also lends itself well to processing large amounts of data. I think one of the trends we've seen in the security industry is that companies are looking at a big data lake in the IT side and saying, hey, I'm processing millions of events. How do I boil that down to 500 or so observations that I want to look at? The power of cloud-based computing allows them to do that. And that's where we think we're uniquely positioned in this to help with large-scale deployments and also automation manufacturers introduce security more robustly in their offerings, in their cloud-based offerings to deliver services.
What about, one of the things we talk a lot about at ARC, it's a key focus of mine, is the IT-OT integration. And when I focus on it, it's really the IT-OT cybersecurity strategy integration. Now, how can ProtectWise help companies accomplish that?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I think one of the core challenges we face in this IT and OT integration is really the skill set and the training of the people and how they're processing that data. right? So if we kind of look for the first time an organization that wants to extend from the IT and OT, they're managing firewalls or have some basic visibility into plant, these guys are trying to get visibility, detection, and response rapidly as possible into those plants. So how we help in that is, first of all, we have a very smooth visual interface, right? So in the same way that our upstream guys are using seismic modeling and 3D imagery to kind of visualize, their oil exploration, we're taking the same approach to security. It's like how the IT and the OT people are going to relate to what they're seeing in the data. And as humans, we have the ability to kind of reason through data spatially, through the Minecraft generation and the younger generation that's coming up through this, right? We've done a study which shows 80% of the people coming into the security workforce have played Minecraft, but only 16% of them have some understanding and desire to be a security professional, right? So we're seeing there's going to be 3.5 million unfulfilled cybersecurity jobs by 2021. So how do we kind of fill that contextual gap with a product that helps you reason through that? And so from a product, that's how we designed it. Secondly, from a process, how do we design an IT and OT process where the people who are running, the SOC or the IT person can reason about an OT security event, but the plant can still take action on that event rather, and look at essentially what we see as a misconfiguration typically. So how do we build an incident response process that effectively gathers the best of IT and OT to do that? And that's what we're doing with a lot of major scale deployments at major oil and gas and utility facilities, and the incident response process we built around that to help those end users accomplish that.
Oh, very good. Changing, kind of shifting to a different focus. From the point of view, one thing we see is also the way people are paying for their solutions these days, cybersecurity solutions. It's always hard to justify investments. So I was just wondering if you're seeing much of a shift in the way people are paying. Are they using, performance-based agreements? Are they using operational budgets? Or are they doing it as capital budgets? Do you see much of that?
Yes, we definitely do. I mean, certainly over the past few years of upstream oil exploration, we've seen a lot of companies, the major oil and gas companies, take very nimble models and almost kind of cloud-first initiatives on both kind of IT and OT to kind of address that, to scale with their business. And I think security has kind of gone along with that as well, in that a lot of times when you've got to go do a security deployment, you're not going to have much of a baseline of network traffic that you're going to have. So why kind of go lay out a very big, expensive infrastructure in hardware and on-premise solutions when you can achieve the same thing very nimbly, through a cloud-based, an operational model? So I think we've also seen, in cloud-based models too, so organizations, like utilities through NERC, have more of a proactive stance on how they're looking at this. So the data requirements of synchrophaser management and wide area measurement have demanded a cloud approach to do that. So that's kind of opened it up where utilities have, even gone against the rate case to offer a solution that has kind of cloud-based model for it. So we definitely see that coming into play. And I think the scalable utility model, which we offer, we charge essentially by amount of retention, and we charge essentially by amount of data that's retained. So that gives the organizations like the oil and gas companies, other automation companies, the ability to flexibly offer that to their clients, like an automation manufacturer or as an end user as well. So we definitely see that a continued trend in the industry.
Well, it's been a very, very enjoyable discussion, David. Thank you.
Thank you, Sid. Pleasure to be here.
Today we've been talking with David Hatchell, who's Vice President of Industrial Security for ProtectWise. Thank you for watching.